Yeah, big game, obviously, in the title is there. But the last game we're going to talk about today is what a game, 4-3 against Aldershot.
Yeah, so this was only a couple of weeks ago, actually. This was, what date were we? 8 days ago? 8 days ago, 18th of February. So it's only a week ago. And so this is business end of the season. I said it before. This is the ugly end of the season that fans don't like when they're in close title races or they're in relegation battles or whatever it is your team's doing, because this is the time of the season that you can't enjoy. And we threw this away against Aldershot. Absolutely threw it away. We were 2-0 up. They pulled one back. We went 3-1 up and they pulled one back. So between the 23rd minute and the 39th, there were 4 goals.
Wow.
We then switched off at 3-2. Second half, it's all Aldershot, and you'll know what it's like when you watch that game of football and you can see the goal coming. Yeah. It's getting closer and closer and closer to 90 minutes, and you're like, it's going to be in the last couple of minutes. You can see it coming a mile away.
That was me like the whole of last season under Ollie and Ranieri. I just expected that goal against us.
You expect it, don't you? You have that feeling. You've seen it before. Yeah. And on the 89th minute, they crossed the ball in and it hit Tunnicliffe. And it was one of those goals where time stood still and it was slow motion. And it went in the bottom corner. But it was one of them that could have gone anywhere. It's one of them that it probably happens five times a game and doesn't go in. And this one was just like, oh my God, we've Wrexhamed it. we have, haven't we? We've Wrexhamed it. And so 90 minutes hit, it's 3-3. And we're like, what's going on? We handed Notts County, and it's on BT. It's on BT, or is it on the 3 o'clock kickoff? It might have been a 3 o'clock kickoff, actually. And the commentator, it was the 3 o'clock kickoff, sorry, because on the National League service, they have the local commentators. So obviously the Aldershot commentators are going wild that they've just rescued this draw and giving it big how it hands Notts County an advantage. And I'm sat watching this stream and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to like delete Twitter for the night. I'm not going on social media. I can't be doing it. I'm just going to lock myself in a dark room. And the 3 minutes added on, goes out for a corner. 92 minutes and 38 seconds. And there's a reason I remember that is because of the abuse that followed this game on social media. So the ball goes out for a corner, the referee gives it, and one of their players went down to say he had an injury. Yeah. And he didn't get up and get off the pitch till 95 minutes and 40 seconds. So the referee let the corner be taken, and lo and behold, we scored. So we scored literally with the last touch of the game. Sam Dolby got up like an absolute salmon and nodded it in the far corner. And fair play to the Aldershot commentators. They went wild. They give it big, like it was fair play. You could have forgiven them to be like proper disappointed, but no, they treated it like they were neutral. It was really good. So we rocked onto social media afterwards. I reinstalled Twitter. It's like, right, we're going on. Come on, Bickens. And all of the Notts County fans were on there. Aldershot fans were on there having a go. And I will, to be fair, the early tweeted this, follows me now, and I follow her, and she's lovely. And I think this is what I was saying before about the banter in National League fans is never nasty. Yeah. And she was on there giving it large, how we cheated and paid the referee. So I just went on and I'd like, your player went down in the 92nd minute and 48 seconds. It was like, yeah, right. So 93rd minute is when the game finishes, and it's a minimum of 3. He didn't get off the field for 2 minutes, which means we're allowed to take the corner. She's like, yeah. I went, so what's your argument? You've got no argument. She went, I know, but I'm just really angry. I was like, what? So you come on saying we've cheated and you just because you're angry? And she's like, yeah. It's like, fair enough. But it's like it was amazing because I think that game will push us on for this season, the rest of the season, and that's why it's key. Because since then, I mean, we've beaten Scunthorpe 2-0 and Dorking 3-1 yesterday, but the game before that, we drew with Woking 2-2, and we were bloody awful. I mean, with the worst performance since Notts County. That's how bad that performance was. And we were lucky to get a draw in it. So the Aldershot game, and actually, you know what it is, what it's like yourself. When you snatch that win from literally the jaws of defeat or a draw, there's nothing better, and it does just push you on for the rest of the season. And we went into the Scunthorpe game, and we didn't play very well, but we won. And then yesterday, I'd say for an hour yesterday, we were very good. First 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, we were poor. But for an hour in between, we were very good. And looked back to Wrexham, looked back to our best. So that game, I think, is just kind of, after the Sheffield United FA Cup games and the busy schedule, I think it, reinvigorated the players and really, lifted them a little bit, because the celebrations were like we'd won the league. That's how kind of the big the players went. But yeah, that game, again, I couldn't go. Aldershot's miles away, and we only get like 300 tickets for an away game. Apart from Halifax, who give us 4,000 tickets for away game, which is mental. They only get 2,000 people at the games, and the Germans give us 4,000. Randomly on that, I was talking to a Halifax supporter earlier today, and I was like, "Why has he done this?" And they were like, "Well, because he wants the money." I was like, "That's fair enough. You can't even argue with it, But like I say, that game could have been fans in the Premier League, and I think the Championship. The fans would have been at each other's throat over that. Yeah. And that just shows how football should be. It's banter, and if it happened to me, I'd be really angry. But I think that just it's nice making friends with people that I'll never meet, but I can have a chat with them about football. So it's a bit of a giggle. That game is if we don't go on and win the league, then I don't think we can look back on that game. I think that's what cost us. Do you know what I mean? That game. Yeah. If we win the league, though, I think we'll look back on that game and go, that's why. Yeah. That game reinvigorated us and pushed us on, because we'd been playing quite poor up until that point.
Yeah. So I've got a few questions to end us on. Wrexham have been stuck in non-league for a long time now. Why do you think that is, and why is it so hard for clubs like yourself, like Notts County, to get out of that league?
So everybody looks at the non-league like the conference, when 90% of the teams in it were semi-pro. And they look at the teams that come down and think, should be easy to get out because you're professional, you're a better standard. Yeah. Now, 22 of the 24 teams in this league are professional. They're not semi-pro anymore. Yeah. So there is money in the league. It takes money to get out of this league. Salford did it. Stockport did it. Looks like we're going to do it. Notts County have done it. Notts County are very clever. They do it on a money ball situation. Yeah. So they buy to sell and reinvest, but they're still spending money. Whichever way you spin it, it's still money spending. Yeah. And I think that's been Wrexham's problem, is because we were owned up by the fans up until 2 years ago. Yeah. We couldn't spend the money. We could only give players 1-year contracts. So if they impress, they'd just go somewhere else and have a bit more security. After the issues we had with going to the High Court, so just to keep the lights on at the club, when the fans bought it, the fans were amazing. I was lucky enough to be part of it. And, it was one of those things that we couldn't compete with bigger spending clubs. It would have been like Chelsea or Man City and Bournemouth going for the same player. Yeah. You're going to go where you can earn more money, where you've probably got more security in your job and that kind of thing. And that was our issue, is we couldn't compete. And the players we brought in were brilliant. And they all kind of, what is nice, I think, because it was a fan-owned club, there's an affinity with the club from a lot of them. Some of them there isn't. There's a lad at Grimsby, his name evades me, he's their captain, scored against us in the playoffs, and he has a real grudge against us. And he enjoyed scoring against us in the playoffs last year because it was the winner. And he made his opinion known. But I think that is the biggest issue Wrexham had, is that there was no money to invest in the infrastructure. There was no money for long-term contracts. We had to let players go at the end of the contracts because we couldn't afford to re-sign them. Bless you. And that's the big thing. But obviously 2 years ago, Mr. Reynolds and Mr. McElhenney came in and bought the club, and I remember ringing my dad and being like, "Have you seen he's buying Wrexham Football Club?" My dad doesn't really watch films, and he's like, "Yeah, 2 no names from America." I was like, "No." I was like, "No." It's like Ryan Reynolds is one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood right now. It's like he's in Marvel films and everything. He's got big money. It's like not only that, he runs about 15 different businesses. He knows what he's doing. I said Rob McElhenney is he's the director and producer of the longest standing sitcom in America TV. I don't care. Jesus Christ. So my dad was very much this case. So as long as they come in and do right by the club, and it's like, yeah, okay. So they came in, and the first thing they obviously agreed to do was invest in the squad. And the takeover took a bit of time because it had to be signed off by the trust. We had to vote on it, and they actually donated money to the club to invest in players before that happened, before the takeover happened.
Yeah.
So they donated money because it was, I mean, had we voted against this takeover, I think there would have been riots because how often do you get the chance to have this? And they, you know, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. How many clubs can say they're owned by a movie star who makes Marvel films in our league? You know, not many. And so they came in, obviously donated money to the club, which was amazing because it allowed us to go out and sign players in January, which, you know, Dean Keats was the manager at the time, and there was still an element of certain caliber of players we could attract at that time. There still is now, but it's certainly a higher caliber of player. And the players he brought in were brilliant. You know, Dior Angus came in, and he was very, very good, and he still has a big affinity with the club. I know that he's just met up with a fan today. He promised her a shirt at the back end of last year, but he was released. Yeah. So they never got a chance to get it. And he's messaged them all on Twitter to arrange to go and give this child a shirt, which is mental. He doesn't play for the club anymore. But that's the kind of thing that is kind of is part and parcel of Wrexham. And I think now, after, you know, nearly 20 years in this league, and, you know, such a long time being owned by us, this is amazing. And what I like is that we're still a community club. The players before every game stay outside the ground to take pictures and sign autographs and just speak to fans. There is a fan called Millie, who is very vocal on Twitter. She's disabled. I'm not sure if she's autistic. But she's lovely. Absolutely. You know, she is the saint, salt of the earth. And she follows me on Twitter. She will do the players love her. Luke Young got booked in the last home game, not Saturday, the Saturday game before. And Millie had spoke to him before the game and said, "If you get booked, you owe me a bag of sweets." Turned up at yesterday's game with a bag of sweets for her. And it's little, do you know what I mean? It's little things like that are just make our club different to every other club. They're all, you know, they can all be seen in the Fat Boar on a Saturday night, having a meal, that kind of thing. It's all it's a community, and it's different gravy. And Ryan and Rob have bought into that as well. You know, they are very big on our community and very big on strengthening that bond and not taking it away. Because it would be very easy for them to come in and take it away, and they haven't. And, you know, I can't thank those guys enough. Really, it's a different world now. I'd like to be able to get a shirt, but I can't. They're like gold dust. We sold like 24,000 this year, and the club didn't have enough, so which is mental. I think they've ordered 38,000 shirts for next year. You know, we didn't used to sell 10,000 when I first started going.
So that's the next investment, a new shirt sponsor.
Yeah, well, we've just announced it today that everybody thought we were leaving Macron, but we've announced that we're staying with them, which I don't mind. I like the Macron shirts. I think they're smart, but they've ordered 38,000 to start with, whereas they ordered 24,000 of all of this season. And like, I've not been able to get one. I've not had one of my size in stock all season. So fingers crossed next year I can get one on pre-order. I need to.
Nice. Kind of goes into what you just spoke about with the owners. But my next question is, what has the owners done for the surrounding area of Wrexham and just done for the club generally?
Yeah. So, as I said, it's very much a community club, and it always has been. Any player who's played for Wrexham is always welcome back. So across the road from the club, from the ground, there's a pub called the Mice Gwyn, which people will park at pre-game, go in for a pint, and you can have a meal there. Before a game, they sometimes do a 3-course meal, and an ex-player will go in and have a chat. So you'll have ex-managers go in, and they don't even live in the area anymore, but they come back to talk to us. And I think we have always focused on being such a community-ran club, an orientated club, that Rob and Ryan had to buy into that when they came in. And I think with, Rob touches on it in the documentary, him coming from a similar area when he was growing up probably helps, because he knows what it's like to live in an area which is ran down. Wrexham is a ran down. It's now a city, but it's been a town that's kind of just been left by the Welsh government for years, and it's been left to just kind of fend for itself. So they've come in, and the first thing they did is they managed to get us city status. I say they. Suddenly we got city status. So how much that has to do with them, I don't know, but I'd say it's a lot. We've tried. I know Wrexham's tried for city status before and been turned down, and suddenly we've got these owners. Wrexham's now massive. It's shipping merchandise to all over the world. The game's being streamed, I think, in 18 different countries, and we get city status. It all kind of, it's a very nice coincidence. So thanks, Rob and Ryan, for that. But what they did do is they bought, like I say, they bought into the community. So we did have at one point a disabled, our DLO, our disability liaison officer, is amazing, to the point where we were spoken about in the House of Commons with how much we do for our disabled fans. It was actually better than Manchester United's at the time, and that's what was said in the House of Commons, that Man United could take lessons from what we do. So there is a Wrexham fan, let me get his name because I don't want to get it wrong. He's Aidan Stott. So anybody who's been to a Wrexham game will know who Aidan is, because you see him all the time. He needed some work doing to his house. I think it might have been like a wet room or something, because he's in a wheelchair. And Rob donated the money for it.
Wow.
He donated $6,000. So he didn't donate like a little bit either. He donated a full whack $6,000. And this was back in November 2020. So it had only just been, they hadn't even taken over the club. They only took over the club in February 21, officially. There's that kind of thing. I mentioned to you before we started recording, for example, there's FC United, which is a football team in Wrexham, ran by Andy Rusco, and they needed new kits for the futsal team, which is the kids team. Ryan Reynolds donated £1,600 for it. So now they've got the Deadpool logo on the sleeve, which I don't think was like a request, but now they're also selling the kits. Because the kits are that popular, they'll be able to sell them, so they'll raise money that way. But again, he just donated £1,600 for it, and you think, you don't have to do any of this. And that's kind of like the tip of the iceberg with these guys, and they are. They want it to be like a big family, and I don't think they want anybody to kind of feel like they have to struggle alone. And the best example I can give is Jordan Davis, who plays for us. He is one of our own. He grew up, 5 miles from the ground. Went off to play for Brighton for a bit and then came back when it didn't work out. Back in, I think it was last year, him and his partner lost their baby, fortunately. And they set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for this charity. And Rob and Ryan donated 10 grand to it. And they rang him as well, him and his partner, to make sure they were okay, to just let them know they could reach out anytime if there was anything the club could do for them. And that's what they've done. there are people within the town who have a direct number to Rob and Ryan.
Yeah.
Wayne, who runs, who runs the turf.
I think saying stuff. So
go on.
I think saying stuff like you've just said there. I think the whole football league could learn from that. You hear it all the time of like a player who's lost their baby or something, and like I think a lot of the football league can learn from stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel confident in saying there are no owners in the Football League or Premier League like these two.
Yeah.
I think that comes down to the reason being is they are businessmen first and foremost, whereas these two aren't. They're media people. They're public figures. They're celebrities.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit more media training on how to go about these things and what to do. But there's also the fact that they want to be involved with the players. So, like when we played Sheffield United at home in the FA Cup, Ryan came over and straight after the game, he was on the pitch hugging all the players. Now, I've been to other grounds and the owner doesn't go anywhere near the players. Certainly not in front of the fans anyway.
Yeah.
But that is that he wants them to know he's one of them. For example, Ollie Palmer and Paul Mullin are in WhatsApp groups with them both.
Yeah.
They've openly said it. It's on other, on podcasts and stuff. And other players are in various ones and things like that. And they want it to be a family, which I think is so key. And they could have got rid of some of the volunteers, which they didn't. They kept them on. The disability liaison officer I mentioned before, she was there under the supporters trust, and she still does the job. There's nobody better than her to do that job. But it would have been very easy to bring in their own person. But they want to keep what made the club special in the first place, rather than replace everybody. There have been some replacements. Flor Robinson came in, who people aren't the biggest fan of. Then you've got the likes of Wayne, who runs the turf. So the turf, for those who don't know, is the pub that is adjacent to the ground. It's actually where Wrexham were formed, which is why it's there, why the ground is where it is. He regularly gets shipments of aviation gin from Ryan. And then it's a case of people can go in and get a drink on Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, wow.
So the other week, on the 2-year anniversary of them owning it, he sent over a load of gin with the message put out on social media: go to the turf, get yourself a gin and tonic on me. And everybody went down the turf and had a gin and tonic on him. That's it. That's different. It's a different gravy.
I've seen like pictures of him like at the pub with the fans and stuff as well.
But Will Farrell was there the other week. Will Farrell was in the turf having a pint. Nobody even knew he was coming.
Yeah,
I'm presuming Wayne did, but nobody outside of that knew. Rob, last season was it, or is it this year? So there'd been a big thing on the documentary how Ryan had come over for the first win. So Rob and Ryan hadn't been over and seen a win for Wrexham, and there was a big thing made of it that Ryan came over on his own when we won. And obviously everybody's chanting, there's only one Ryan Reynolds, and kind of leaving Rob out a little bit, even though it was Rob's idea to buy a football club. So it was made a big point of on an episode of the documentary how he just wanted his name sang, and that's all he wanted. So I'm sure it was this season. We're playing Boreham Wood away, and Rob McElhenney turns up at the turf. So we're playing the other end of the country because Boreham Wood's in London. So that Rob McElhenney turns up in Wrexham in the pub to watch the game. And he sits in the turf all Saturday afternoon and watches the game, having beers with the weather lady Ruth off ITV Wales, of all people, and got his name chanted in the turf, and it made him cry, which is quite well. It'll be on this season's documentary, I'm guessing. But that happened, and then the other side of this is that previously we didn't have a girls' team.
Yeah.
So women's football now is massive. It's certainly growing anyway. Clubs of our size don't have a women's team predominantly. I know Dorking Wanderers do because they were playing today. But we started ours. And the reason Rob had come over for that weekend is to go and watch the girls' team.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't even to come and see the blokes. He went to Roastlanna Grogog, which is in, I haven't just made up a word, I promise for anybody who's watching. It's genuinely a place in Wrexham where the girls play, and he went and supported them on the Sunday morning. and they're about to get promoted to the top league and turn semi-pro. So that, you know, nice. They've genuinely bought into the community side of the club. And I think that shows more than ever. I'm trying. My stepdaughter's never been to a game when Ryan and Robert been there, and she's desperate to, because we couldn't get tickets to the Sheffield United game. I mean, what I would caveat all of this praise with is there are some teething issues, but that's not Rob and Ryan. That is Flo Robinson and Sean Harvey. That's the daily running of the club side. The Sheffield United ticket incident is a perfect example. So we haven't had a queue on our website all season. When Brighton tickets went on sale, I managed to get on there and get a ticket, no problem. Not Brighton, sorry, Coventry. So I went to Coventry and I was really lucky to be able to go. So Sheffield United roll round. I know for a fact that we've given out 7,000 tickets to season tickets holders because that's how many season ticket holders we've got. And I know that everybody's going. So with the 1,500 that we have to give to Sheffield Wednesday, there's about 1,000 tickets left for Wrexham. Because obviously the Safety Commission shut off part of the stand. Then you've got the BBC studios at the side of it and, all this other stuff. So I'm on the website at 8:00 Monday morning to get tickets. Normally, I can refresh the page at around 10 to 10 and be fine. I refreshed the page at 10 to 10 this day, and I was number 1,300 in the queue.
Nice.
And I was like, what's all this about? There'd been no mention of a queue. Okay. So, right, okay, there's just no chance of me getting a ticket. Now, I got through, and I could have got me a ticket, but I couldn't get her a ticket, and I think if I'd gone by myself, she'd never have spoken to me again. It was one of them, especially when Ryan rocked up. She never would have talked to me again. So I didn't go. And then ever since then, they've put queues will start on the website at 9:30. So it's obviously like the first time it's happened, and now they feel it's learning from mistakes rather than preempting things. But it's small things that are just kind of getting fans' backs up a little bit. It's very small things. I mean, we could have gone to Sheffield United away. We could have got tickets for it. Chose not to. And again, I'm good I didn't go, but we had Coventry, and Coventry was amazing. That'll live long in my memory for very many years. I mean, I still remember beating West Ham, and I remember going to West Ham. So and I was 10 when that happened. I think I might have been younger than that. So these things, and I said that to her, the memories you're making now, courtesy of these two blokes, you'll never forget them. You will remember them for the rest of your life. So enjoy it while you can, because if they decide to pull the plug and sell, TikTok sponsorship goes, Expedia sponsorship goes, the Aviation Gin sponsorship goes, and it's slowly that there's not as much money there then. So enjoy it while you can. But they're saying they're in it forever, so you never know. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and the
last thing we've got to end it on is: do you think you're ready for the Football League?
Yeah, 100%. So statistically, teams that come up from the National League do very, very well in League Two. Stockport this year are 4th at the moment. We as a club are targeting Championship and League One players now. So when we go up, we've already got the players for the league above. So I think either us and Notts County, if we both go up, will probably be pushing for promotion again next season. I think both teams are more than good enough. Yeah, Salford in their first season didn't they? And they just missed out. I think they've struggled now because they've stagnated in this division. But they're in the playoffs now. But I think, so I think what happened with Salford was when they started to when they didn't get promoted, the owner stopped investing maybe quite as much as he was, because they invested big to get out of the non-league. I don't think Rob and Ryan will do that. Their goal is Premier League, so to suddenly stop investing doesn't make any sense. Whether Parky will be the person if we don't get promoted from League Two, and we maybe have to look elsewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I think if we go up, we'll push for promotion. And I think we'd probably, I mean, without sounding slightly arrogant, well, without sounding very arrogant, we probably have a squad of players that are good enough to avoid relegation in League One. But I just want to be back in the Football League.
Yeah.
You know, I miss playing in the Football League. But at the same time, my concern about the foot, we need squad depth, more squad depth than we've got, because in the Football League, you've got the Papa Johns, the Carabao, the FA Cup, the league, so you've got more competitions to play in. We also need to sort the pitch out because that's a bit shocking, but yeah, that's different matter. But yeah, I think we've definitely got enough to get promoted next season if we're lucky enough to go up. If we don't, we could lose a few players.
Yep. Thanks for coming on today, Paul. Where can we find you?
So I'm on Twitter at, I think it's Paul H11988 now. Just because it's completely had a rebrand recently. I'm also on there's my YouTube channel, which is solely about Wrexham, which is the Dragons podcast. Again, that's literally rebranded yesterday. So, and then obviously there's the Football Nation stuff. So at the moment we've got the interview with the Southend supporters protest group up, which is really, really interesting. And hopefully on Wednesday they get good news. And there's going to be some more going up in the next couple of weeks. We do have, and I'll kind of spoil it a little bit, I have got a Wrexham fan and a Notts County fan coming on it to do a head-to-head before the 10th of April, which I am being completely neutral on.
Nice.
So I'm not going to be the Wrexham fan. Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's kind of what we got coming up. Obviously, there's the pods on Thursday and stuff. So the podcast on Thursday was interesting as well with Bilal. So yeah, plenty of places to hear me waffle on about football and chat absolute rubbish. But the other news I forgot to mention as well before we go. Did you see the pre-season tour announcement for Wrexham and United? No. So this summer, obviously Wrexham going to America. Yeah, makes sense. And they're going to play Chelsea and United. So Chelsea,
I heard a rumor of United and Chelsea.
Yes, it's 99% confirmed. The club have essentially said it's done, but it's final negotiations. So they're going to play Man United in San Diego and Chelsea in somewhere else. Can't think where it is. The Keenan Stadium, I think it is, the West Keenan Stadium. But yeah, they're going to play that Chelsea first, then United. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be good for our American fans to be able to go and see them because you can't get a ticket over here.
Hey guys, that was part 2 of the halftime analysis with Paul on Wrexham. I hope you enjoyed both parts. Really good interview on Wrexham, going into really good detail there. I hope you enjoyed that. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, turn that bell on so you never miss an upload. This has been the Football Nation's halftime analysis show. Good night.